Good evening. We're with the International Dyslexia Association, and we're going to be joined with Lynn here shortly. Lynn is a board member, and super excited for her to share some of her journey as a board member and then one of her latest projects. As always, if you have questions tonight, drop us a line in our chat below. I'll be monitoring that. You can also reach out to us at the branch directly at the International Dyslexia Association Oregon branch. And Lynn, so nice of you to join us tonight. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you for having me.
And one of our former board members is on the line, Andrew, always a part of us, so appreciate you, man. Lynn, maybe start, I know you're a board member, but maybe start about your journey. Like, what got you into dyslexia work, and how did you end up at the International Dyslexia Association Oregon branch?
Thanks, Jared. My journey began with my child. The youngest of 4 children had difficulty learning how to read, write, and spell, and do math. And we were trying to figure out how this really smart young man could be so smart and yet have such difficulty learning to read. So I did not know anything about dyslexia back in that would be the late, that was 2000, about 2007 or 2006. I didn't know anything about it. And I remember someone saying, maybe your son's dyslexic. And I said, no, he's not dyslexic. He just doesn't know patterns. He doesn't know sound symbol. He can't recognize words and he can't spell, but he's not dyslexic.
What was your thought there? Like, what did that term, was it just not having any meaning, the term dyslexia, or what would you think when somebody said that?
It seemed impossible. It seemed like this huge word. And I thought, no, not Will. No, this would not apply to him. It seemed so foreign. And I thought that it was rare.
And what were your learnings like as you went on this journey to kind of figure out your son and this?
Yeah, so I was looking everywhere, and I found an Orton Gillingham. Someone recommended Wilson or Orton Gillingham to help remediate his reading, and I still didn't think he was dyslexic. By this point, we had him tested. This was in 3rd grade. It was not getting any better, and we had him tested and discovered that he was really smart, and his academics did not match with his cognition. There was a huge gap. So I still was in denial, but we found an Orton Gillingham tutor. And what I remember that was so exciting was within really just 2 or 3 weeks, I started seeing a difference in his, he finally had a way to learn how to read. So I thought, okay, he's going to be okay. We just need to keep going with this instruction. So I decided that I wanted to become Orton Gillingham trained to help him. And then after he was, it took a long time, but after he got up to grade level in reading and spelling and so forth, then I wanted to become an Orton Gillingham fellow, because my thought was, I can't tutor enough students to make that much of a difference, but I can be a fellow and teach teachers how to help a student that struggles to read learn how to read. So I spent 6 years learning how to become a fellow.
Okay, I need to pause you here for a second. So you have the challenge of your student or your son, who you essentially get into a position to be reading at grade level. Clearly he's intelligent, this, like, it's just these challenges of reading, which don't, dyslexia doesn't affect our IQs. but then you decide to go on and become a fellow to teach other teachers. Like, what was the inspiration behind that?
The inspiration behind that was in order to help my son, when I took the training to learn how to help him, to really figure out how to do it, I had to do a practicum and I had to take on another student. And so I was working with my son and another student, and this other student was a first grade little girl, and she would not have learned how to read. I really don't think she would have. Her skills were very, very low. Very smart little girl, but she there were just a lot of obstacles for her. She had some comorbidities, attention deficits, and it felt good to help another student learn to read. And what I discovered was I started adding more and more students onto my caseload, and I love it. I fell in love with it because there's nothing greater than helping their potential. You know, you spend so much time in school, and to go and spend so much time and to not be able to do a critical part of school is, it's hard for it's hard for a person, for your soul. So I wanted to help all of these kids learn to read. And I did that for a long time while I worked on becoming a fellow.
And so now you're teaching teachers, and with the hope of spreading that message even further and getting into the classrooms on a broader level.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's amazing. And then how did you become a board member of the International Dyslexia Association, or when did that come about?
Well, as I was in my journey and trying to surround myself with kind of like-minded people, I found the International Dyslexia Association in Oregon, and I discovered we really had the same goal. And we're both trying to do the same thing, trying to help the community at large recognize dyslexia. And then what are we going to do about it? Let's do something about it. How do we help these kids learn to read? And then how do we help families? Because it's so personal. So we have the same goals, and I love serving on the board. We have great resources and lots of people that are trying to help.
Yeah, it's amazing when you can become part of a team that's actually all pulling in that same direction. There's the energy that you can tap in. Even though we all have kind of these individual things that we do, there's this collectiveness that keeps you going in your own way. So I think that is really cool. Talk to me about this latest project. You got the Spring Symposium coming up. It's
Yes.
the 46, is that right? This is the 46th one?
Yes. And 46 Spring Symposium, and we're bringing Dr. Melissa Farrell. She is amazing. She has written 2 outstanding books that are, by the way, on the required reading list if you want to become a fellow in the Academy. I've taken several courses from her, and she is a psychologist that works out of the Stern Center, and she also works with the University of Vermont, teaching courses there. She will be talking about the various dyslexia profiles, and I think it's really important that, when we're looking at the profile that emerges, it is complicated. And the reason I think that Melissa Farrell will be such an addition, or such a resource for our members or non-members, is that she's going to describe all these different profiles and go pretty deep, so that when you have a child in school and you don't really understand the profile, she will be talking about what it looks like. How does it look on the cognition for the cognitive testing? And then how does that transfer over into a learning disability and the achievement testing? So,
can you give the audience some insight into how important these profiles are? Like, from someone that doesn't understand testing or maybe doesn't see the value in getting someone screened, what do these profiles do for the student as well as the educators?
That is a great question. The profile is everything because the profile is telling you what that child needs for intervention, and every profile is different. So when you have a good understanding of what these standard scores mean on the cognitive testing and looking at the achievement testing and all of the other pieces that can go with it, from a language impairment, she'll be talking about a little bit about all of this, attention deficits, then you can come up with a better strategy for remediation. And that's what's so important, because all of these kids can learn to read, every one of them, but let's be smart about it. Let's look at the profile and give them what they need based on what their profile is saying that they need. So it's, to me, it's like the answer of the puzzle. Here we have a child that's struggling, and the testing shows you what the remedy is. And that's what I love about having her come and talk to our group on April 16th.
You know, it's interesting as you talk, because I think about my audience, and you know, it's a lot of runners, it's people that work in education. But if I'm talking to the runners part of this to help them understand dyslexia, which I think is kind of an important part of this conversation, it would be no different than getting an assessment done if you had an injury or a knee injury, or getting some rehab done, and you get a diagnostic based on that, and then from there you identify what the person needs from corrective exercises to get them up and running. And it sounds no different. Let's get the assessment done and then break it down that way. Is that accurate?
Jared, that is a wonderful analogy. That is absolutely spot on. If you're a runner and you have all these different goals you're trying to achieve, and you get an assessment, you make sure you don't hurt yourself. You make sure that you're able to make a good plan for going forward based on what the assessments show.
That's amazing. So how can people join this? How can people come to the Spring Symposium?
So, and also I don't want to forget that we're also going to have Kareem Weaver. Kareem Weaver is an award-winning teacher and administrator. He is a real advocate for the teachers, knowing that literacy is so important. And I have a quote here I wanted to read. He said, I just read this today, "In order to save our kids and to get them competitive in this information age, they have to be able to access information. So we have to focus on literacy." Literacy is where they're going to be able to express themselves. It's where they're going to be able to read in order to learn. And literacy is everything. So you can sign up for the Spring Symposium going to the IDA Oregon website. It's all easy to access through there. And it's also on my website, which is directing you back to the IDA Oregon website. So it's going to be a great symposium. You're not going to want to miss this one.
Oh, that's so awesome. Well, one, I want to thank you for all your work. As someone that's dyslexic, I know the challenges. So to see you bring your son along, as well as other students and now educators, and really spreading that wealth of information there, it's just so invaluable. So thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you.
What's your message? So I want to leave you with the final word of what you would like people to know.
I would like people to know that, I think sometimes if it doesn't affect you personally, it's human nature where we sometimes don't put that much importance on something. I know I certainly fit that category until it affected me personally with my son. You forget how pervasive literacy is in everything we do, from a job interview to driving to your just functioning in life and trying to do a job and trying to even navigate going out to eat. You have to be able to read. And so I would just like to leave this message. We have our attention drawn in so many different ways in our life. There's so many different distractions. But I would really like for literacy to be something that we don't lose sight of, and recognize that literacy is what is going to help all of us have a better chance for the best pathway that we can in life, and to be happy, where it's just not so hard. You know, literacy is just so important skill, a foundational skill that we all need.
Well, message received. Thank you so much, Lynn, for your time tonight and sharing your journey, and then this great spring symposium, and then the message around literacy and the importance of it. And I will. People can. The website got dropped by our president Danielle, but or.dyslexia.ida.org. Check it out. We'll share some links and be able to check out this great symposium, the 46th one here in Oregon. So, Lynn, thank you so much, and we wish you a great night.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.